It's for you. I'm checking the wiring, okay?
Oh, okay, checking the wiring. Hello, E30 finally finished. As you can see, it's painted, it has new hood, new fenders, everything else was fixed. And now we can show up what we did. Wait a minute, it has 4 doors. Definitely, I'm just kidding. We are not going to fix it so fast. Our burned E30 is standing over there, waiting for its turn. And today we are going to work with this one, but not something you are doing every day to change oil or something else. No, we are going to mod it. We are going to add additional fuel implant and it's gonna use it. As you can understand, this is not stock car. It has different engine. Let's take a look. This car has M50, it's from E34, M50B25, it's 2.5 liter, like our car, but the newer engine, of course, with completely different ECU and everything else, of course. This car is originally 316, and that's why the engine was changed, replaced with the bigger one. Is definitely the right chassis to do some mods and resto mods, because 325i and IS is definitely much more worthy to keep it original, and for chassis like this it's completely fine and great idea to do some mods and to do something interesting. Definitely we are going to do something at some point. Maybe we will buy the chassis from 316, 318 in order to, do something crazy, to put some M engine, BMW Motorsports engine. So we never know. But today, let's focus on this car. I'm not closing the hood completely because we're still gonna work on it. What else we can talk about this car? So it's 4 doors, it's sedan, not coupe. The owner still working on the car, trying to make it fun to drive with. He restores his own way, and we are really happy about it, because having project car, you can move your mind, you can spend some time on your car, and it's some kind of meditation form for some people. So it's a good choice, and we are definitely big fans of resto mods. And now let's take a look into the trunk, what we are going to use today.
Hello, it's for you.
What are you doing today?
Taking a nap, close the trunk. Leave me for a second, give me just a couple minutes.
You having a good time?
I'm checking the wiring, okay?
Oh, okay, checking the wiring. So we are going to use Ecumaster Det3, which is fuel implant. And I'm going to use rockers also. Get out.
Already?
Get out.
Yeah, the wiring's okay.
Wiring is okay?
Yeah, everything's...
How the fat ass was able to get into it?
I'm flexible.
You're flexible and fat.
Not fat, just flexible.
Okay, so we are going to use DT3 today, as I mentioned before. It's a fuel implant. It's like poor man's turbo setup. You can change the fuel injection and things like that. It also has integrated air pressure sensor, so you can change the way it calculates the fuel and everything else. One problem with it, it only has 2 outputs, so you're able to control 2 banks, bank number 1 and the bank number 2 of the injectors. So it means that you are going to waste lots of fuel. Yeah, but as I mentioned, it's poor man turbo setup. This car doesn't have turbo. It just wants to change the way how injection works, and later maybe there will be some turbo. We already received lots of comments that you like our project, especially the big ones, but this is completely new format of the videos that we are doing a know-how sharing session and some kind of tutorials. Rokas, what do you think?
Let us know, guys, in the comments. Share your opinions.
Yeah, let us know if you like such content and if you would love to see more. First, we are going to remove the glove box, so we will be able to reach the ECU, change the wiring, and after that, we will see if the car starts. While Rokas is going to remove the glove box, I'm going to take a look inside, and we can talk about what we have inside this digital ECU tuner by Ecumaster. Go to work, please.
Okay, okay.
You're sleeping all day in the trunk and then...
Oh, I have a good news. We don't need to remove the glove box. ECU is already in it.
Okay, simple way to access it. We're still gonna need to take a look into the wiring. It's possible that it's a little bit short, but we will see because we're gonna need to cut it. So yeah, what we got in the box? Definitely we got digital ECU tuner or DAT number 3. It's already with integrated pressure sensor 4-bar. Also we got USB cable. We have the connection, some terminals and some solder sleeves. We use them to splice the wires together. What we got here? Terms of warranty. Okay. And we got technical support card. When you are doing something like this, you definitely need to read the fucking manual or RTFM. So we did that before, but let me grab my MacBook and I show you some hints. Don't look into my password. Don't look, don't look. Good, we can continue. So here I have one of the docs that shows how we can connect this kind of ECU to this digital tuner. Another document that we have is pin assignments of the original ECU, so we know what pin corresponds to throttle position sensor, to the injectors and everything else. And the last one is overall digital ECU tuner document, so we can read it and understand how it works. So yeah, with these 3 documents, we are going to try to connect it and start the car. Now, I need to take a look into the wiring. Is it long enough so we can work on it easy, or we should still to remove it somehow to make the wires longer for us to cut them, because we need to connect some of the wires together. We need some of the wires to disconnect completely from ECU, the injector wires, because we don't want the ECU to control injectors anymore. Okay, so the wiring is quite short. It's gonna be a little bit tricky. Rokas, can you pop the hood?
Hey, pop the hood. Pop the hood? Pop the hood.
And take a look, is it possible to give the wires a little bit to inside?
Nope.
No? No way?
Maybe a little bit, but not much.
Also, remove the negative battery cable. Always remove negative battery cable just in case, because we don't know who was working on this car and if the wiring is correct. So we don't want to disconnect the main plug while there's any kind of power going to the DMA. That's why we are removing the negative cable right now, and we will be sure that there's no power to the ECU and everything is safe to remove. Captain Slow, how are you doing?
Slowly.
Oh, great success. Okay, we got the ECU. We're still gonna use it later. And we got the wiring. It's not gonna be easy. We definitely need to maybe find a way to work on it, because right now it's really hard. It's really short and I don't want to splice them outside. I would like to do it inside. So, you know what? Maybe we can get it to out, yeah, and it will be easier to. Maybe you can try to push it a little bit. Push it out.
Pushing.
Not that easy to remove. Okay, let's remove the battery, I think, so we will have even more space. Things like these are not good. Kids, if you roll over, this battery gets to your hood or something and your car gonna burn. So don't do things like that. It's really messed up and it's real dangerous. Let's take a look. I'm going to remove this one so we can access the wires easier. Okay. So now we need to find the correct wires and connect to them. As you can see, we have lots of them. There are some that already cut. So right now we are going to connect battery back in order to check the wirings if the correct pins corresponds to positive terminal, the ignition terminal, and etc. This is what you are doing. You are putting things in, getting them out, putting them back in again. So that's the truth of working on projects. And I got my glove broken. I need a new one. So here, let's get it back in and test some wires. And the positive terminals you can check two ways. One using multimeter, and another one is using simple control light. So you just connect one side to the ground and another you just check the control wires. So wait, turn on the ignition. Okay, turn off. Okay, you found this one, but it seems like it's a bit messed up because, or maybe the numbers are different. I'm not going to count them right now for you, but I'm going to do that right now to understand the real pin numbers, because it's possible that it's not the correct order how it's shown here and how it's over here. Okay, the pins already counted, and I found the number 56, which is this one. Rokas, that's good. You can turn off the ignition. Okay, now we need to cut this wire and provide the 12 volts to DAT, and we need to find another wires, ground. So first two wires that we are going to do are the positive and the ground in order to turn on the DAT. So we already got the ground and the positive wires prepared, not completely prepared. We got them spliced to the original wiring. Now we are going to add the terminals to them so we can connect it to the DET. Turn on the ignition. Good, we got the red light. It means that it works. Now I'm going to continue with the sensors. I need to rewire throttle position sensor, I need to rewire crank sensor, and mass airflow sensor. So these three are gonna be changed. Also, I'm going to change the injectors to cut it off from the ECU, and they are going to be opened by DAT. The TPS is going to the BOF, while crank sensor and mass airflow sensor gonna be adjusted and provided by DAT to the ECU. So it's not gonna see the real values of the sensors, but values that DAT going to provide. So we are finishing with the wiring. The only two wires left is, for now, is the injectors. But I'm thinking maybe we will start with our piggyback configuration first to see if everything else working, and then we will be able to move on with fuel transplant and let this device to control the injectors. Rokas is struggling right now with the vacuum lines. Why I'm saying vacuum? Because there are not going to be any turbo and any positive pressure, so we will see vacuum. Is it hard?
Yeah, it's hard. My fingers hurt.
I don't want to know why your fingers hurt. I even had my fishing chair because I was fishing the wires and the pins. So yeah, pretty much done with it. It seems pretty easy job, but when you want to make sure and double checking every single wire, it takes a lot of time. Just be prepared for that. So we finished with the wiring, the simple version. So what we want to do right now, as I mentioned before, we want to start the car with piggyback version rather than fuel implant. And yeah, in that case we will see that car gets, not the car, DAT gets all kind of information from the car, from the crank sensor, from the throttle position sensor, and so on. It's still a mess, but it's just for testing right now. We can turn on the ignition, and I'm going to use my chair. Okay, we can see that we are getting some voltages from the sensors. What we're going to do right now is to upgrade the firmware. So now we are upgrading the firmware of the device. It was already the latest, as I can see, but it's never bad to try it again. Okay, so now we need to set up the tables. So right now I'm just using the default configuration that is provided from the documentation, and you definitely should do the same. When you successfully start the car, you can do whatever you like. Rockers, let's try to not to blow the engine.
Let's try.
We are going to let it idle for a bit, so we will see how it changes, but so far it seems that the piggyback function works okay, like it should. So we are happy with that, and right now is two options, so we can move on and change the way it works to fuel implant, or we can configure the piggyback. We still need to check with the client what he wants to achieve, and yeah. Little bit. Control your feet. All right, now we see that it works. I think we should contact our client to ask if we should change the way it works right now. I'm talking about fuel injectors, because his main concern was about the throttle position sensor, map sensor, and so on. And I see that everything works fine. So what we can do, I think we can work with piggyback. As soon as he's gonna throw in bigger injectors, we can replace them and we can connect additional wires to it, no problem. The idea behind using such devices, why you should use and why you should not, and when you should use them and when not. So for piggyback, it's really good. You can adjust some stuff, you can adjust the ignition and so on, depending on air pressure or throttle position sensor and so on. But when you are using fuel implant mode, it's like really dummy mode of the standalone ECU. So imagine that if you have, for example, ECU master black version or classic version, and you have 6 outputs, so you're able to control all the 6 injectors, and you can do all kind of stuff without wasting the fuel and so on. Just with 2 outputs, you're able to control the injectors by banks, so it means that you're going to load the fuel from 3 injectors and from 3 injectors all the time. So you're going to waste lots of fuel. But if that's not the option for you, and you want to have best possible solution, stay with standalone ECU. It's gonna be more expensive for sure, but you're still able to do all kind of stuff with it. While talking about this one, if you are trying to save some money and you want to put bigger injectors, put the turbo and all kind of other mods, so a fuel implant mode is for you. You're able to have launch control, pops and bangs, all kind of stuff. You can play with it. It's like I said before, it's poor man's turbo setup. Also, if you have problems with map sensor, throttle position sensor, piggyback can help you a lot, because this old DMA is, you're not able to do much with it. If that would be the MS, Siemens ECU from M52, M54, so definitely you can do lots of stuff just with OEM ECU, but with this old guy, sorry, you are not. So yeah, you should definitely choose this one if you want to play around, you want to try new stuff, you want to understand working of the fuel and so on, and you don't have big budget. But if you want to really go deeper, to have the proper horsepower and everything optimized as much as possible, you have to choose standalone ECU. So these are 2 choices, and right now we are using this one just in order to solve some problems with throttle position sensor, with math and so on. And later maybe the owner will put bigger injectors and turbo, so for the start it's gonna be a good start. He will have this already and he will be able to do that. Later on maybe he will move on to standalone ECU to have better optimizations and everything else. So yeah, that's it. I know that's pretty much. If you have any questions about devices like these, we are not professionals, of course, we are enthusiasts like you and most of the car guys, but we're trying to dig deep, we're trying to share with the community, we're trying to talk with the community, what we're using, what kind of options there are in the market, and yeah, you know, everything works. By trying this stuff, you're always learning, and with things like these, the learning curve gonna be much easier, while with standalone ECU, the learning curve gonna be much higher, but you have more possibilities. So that's the choice for you. And thank you. Please let us in the comments if you want more detailed videos, if you want to know something, if you want to ask, please drop us a message to Instagram, please comment, we will answer anywhere. And stay tuned.
See ya.